Hi, everybody. Today is Wednesday, July the 8th of 2020, and welcome to Rudy's Psychic Meetup with Samantha Jane. And I'm Samantha Jane. And hey, Rudy, how's it going?
Hey, it's going well. We got some great topics for tonight. We're gonna review some footage of one of your last video meetups with Moo, and then we're gonna talk a little bit about music and vibrations, and maybe a little bit of Bob Marley, and talk about some of those topics. So, looking forward to it.
Here we go.
Sam and Moo, do you see big multiples for Swissboard?
Sorry, guys. I just had the everything all at once pass through me.
Love it.
Oh my God.
You okay?
I think that's what's going to happen. Those three things are.
So, Sam, on this, you were just answering a question about what'll be the catalyst for crypto prices when they first go up, and you saw three things, and one was like PayPal, the other was the banking system collapse, and top coming off the COMEX, and silver and gold being really hard to get. And what struck me about that, I want to talk about that tonight because you could visibly see you take a deep breath, and it was like as I watched you, I'm thinking you got a flood of emotion, a flood of information, and it all just kind of hit you. And, it really almost took your breath away. So I wanted to find out what you were, if you can remember, what you were kind of feeling when that all hit and what you were experiencing.
Well, I wasn't expecting it.
Okay.
Because again, I was in mid-sentence, right? And what it is, it's more like air pressure.
Okay.
Right. And normally I'm used to it when I'm doing a reading. I'm ready for it because it's one of the ways that the people on the other side or the family members let me know I got it right. Like the translation of the pictures they're showing me, they pass through me. But this was different because it was passing through me, but it wasn't the spirit of like a family member. It was like the ethos.
Okay.
Just like, and it just went boom right through me. But it was like I kind of saw everything all at once.
Okay.
And it was a little bit hard for me to take it because, I'm still just a human like everybody else, right? So you can imagine if the everything. So now we're starting to see that out there with the cryptocurrencies, with gold and silver. They're talking about the banks are collapsing. It just seems that everything's going crazy.
Was it like a sensory overload almost? I mean, is that different than you've had before? Or you've had it before and you just, like you said, you weren't ready for it?
It was different.
Okay.
And I wasn't ready for it. So if I had just been doing something like meditating or asking questions or whatever, but I was in the middle of a sentence about something else and just got like basically body slammed by the ethos. But it was like it's like it passes through you, and while it's passing through you, you see everything.
You're getting pictures.
Everything.
Okay.
Everything though, but it's like everything. So, imagine if you're just sitting there minding your own business and then all of a sudden everything about what's coming up just passes through you and you just get that very strong impression that this is what we're headed for, that this is it.
Well, and the other thing that I noticed, because if it continues on, that clip is only 15 seconds for Crowdcast, but as it continues on, you can see you're almost choked up a little bit. And it's almost like I thought you were getting the emotion of all the people that are going to be losing out when the banking financial system collapses, because, you seem to be almost visibly upset, like, oh my God, this is going to happen to these poor people.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you see it happening. It's just like when you're watching a movie.
Okay.
But it's a little bit different in the sense that I have to try to apply it to what we do as humans in our everyday life, because there's really nothing that I can compare it to, except to say that, yes, you have great empathy for what you see or you feel going on, but it's just the knowing that it's here. But I mean, I was shaken up more by that happening to me in the sense that this is just part of me growing, and this is part of our grand experiment that we're doing with the Patreon hobby channel, that we happen to be, what sort of, attracted us all to each other is our love of cryptocurrencies and the blockchain technology that is going to give the people of the world, of the third world, who are, unbankable right now. It's going to give them bank accounts on their phone, and they can buy and sell and lift themselves out of poverty. And we all strongly believe in that. And you see this constant theme amongst most of the people here, and that is something happened that made it clear to them they had to do this, they had to invest in it, they had to know about it, that this is the largest exchange of wealth that we're ever going to see in human history. And what an opportunity to be a part of that on the good side, but also to lift up a technology and support a technology that is going to make it possible to change the world, so that what's happening now, like the criminality and the corruption, cannot exist on the blockchain.
Right.
So there's the woo-woo side of things, but there is the benevolence of the cryptocurrencies combined. And as we've been, plodding along with this grand experiment, figuring out how, as a medium, I can, get command over my gift, it has just been getting stronger and stronger. And and I actually seem to be, even though I'm not a strong believer in, for example, trading, I think that there's a lot to be said that, I do have a responsibility to prove to people that I'm not some charlatan. You have to believe me when I tell you that there's so many people in my sphere who just really shouldn't be doing this as a living. It's like the hairdresser, right? If you're terrible at it, like, don't do it. And just because you cut with scissors doesn't mean you should be cutting hair.
Well, that experience I thought was worthy of clip and taking a look at, because I think we've all seen, and whether it's a reading or video, where you can see when you're getting information and you're looking up, but I've never seen that before. And I thought it's like you've reached a new plateau with having something like that happen live on camera. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. And it's nice to see with that comes the accuracy of, like, last week's meet up with Muant. If you look at it and then you look at what happened, and then I opened up the premium live stream for everybody, and it was during that premium live stream that I said Doge isn't doing anything, but Doge, it goes, like, it'll go up 25% in a day. And that's like literally what happened yesterday or the day before. It went up like 25% in a day. And I think today it's up 50%. So it's pretty crazy. And isn't that interesting about the $1? They're trying to get Doge to $1. And that was one of the things that I was talking about, that I didn't say Doge 10 cents.
Right.
I didn't say Doge $10. I said Doge $1, and that, there'll be Doge millionaires.
Yeah. I won't be quite a Doge millionaire, but I'll be halfway there, I think, if I'm lucky. So we'll see if we can get some more Doge. All right. Well, let's move on to our next topic. I call this one the sound of music. We have a lot of people, I think, who are musicians or dabble in music. And I know you yourself are a bit of a piano player. I don't know if you ever play anymore or not. But we've talked, in previous meetups about how sound and music you listen to has a vibration and that can affect your mood. But I wanted to go into this a little bit more deeply, because there's so many aspects to the role that music can play in our lives. And I'll start off with kind of like, just from an evolutionary perspective, humans seem to be tuned for music from birth. We have this ability to, sense beats and rhythms that other animals don't. So it's very unique to humans. And there was even this interesting hypothesis around like Neanderthal predation, where both Homo sapiens and humans were alive, and Neanderthals were alive at the same time. And because of predation by Neanderthals on humans naturally selected some of these traits which were so anti-Neanderthals, like, music and art, things like that it almost kind of, became part of our natural selection. So from that aspect, do you think that our ability and connection to music is a result of evolution or natural selection, or is there something else with, like, maybe some tinkering with the DNA or some other aspect that causes us to have this connection to music?
Well, I think that is our soul connection, because that's one of the things. There's a lot of things that are here in the earth realm that are not on the other side.
Okay.
But one of the things that are it's on the other side as well, is music.
Ah,
right? So our soul is connected to music. So that is why we are so, enthralled by music. Our mood is affected by music, because, as you may remember, there's a few people here who have explained that they've heard the angels singing and the heavenly music. And it's one of those supernatural experiences that you don't believe it until it happens to you.
yeah.
And yeah, and
Yeah,
it's,
we've had a few people that have mentioned hearing that the angelic music or the choir on the other side, and said it's something that's amazing that you can't even describe. So, okay, cool. So there's a little bit more to it than that. That's what I was thinking. Let's talk about kind of the resonance of your playlist, and this might be a bit of a chicken and egg, but does our mood impact, or our resonance impact the type of music that we tend to choose to listen to? Or is it more likely that whatever music you're listening to can drive the mood or frequency that you're in? What do you think about that?
I think that people choose their music based on their culture,
Okay.
their personality, and their mood. So there's certain music that you're going to listen to depending on what mood you're in.
Okay.
But at no point, because of your personality, would you ever listen to bluegrass
Okay.
or classical. But there's other people that there's different types of music that they listen to because of their personality, but the artist that they choose, the album, you know, CD, whatever,
Yeah.
download, whatever, whatever they decide to.
8-track tape.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because there might be some bands, and I've found that too, where you find a new band and you listen to them. There's something about, not just one song, but all their songs. It kind of takes you to a different level, and you kind of start to follow different bands that way. So it's interesting how we can kind of evolve our maturity through choosing different bands to follow and find. Yeah. Okay. um the next topic within this is about encoding emotions within music. And if you think about individual music notes, like a G note will have a specific resonance or vibration. Words have a resonance vibration. The easiest example is think about the curse words, negative connotations or energy that follows with some of those words. And the question is, do within music and with an artist writing music, are they able to somehow encode emotions where by combining words with these notes and the combination of notes, it comes to something that's greater than the sum of its part? So it can lift you and make you feel a different way than just any one of those aspects alone.
Yes. Yes. I agree with that. That is true. I think about music and the human body, which is made of 98% water, and
Mhm.
think about how vibrations cause different waves
Oh yeah.
and different patterns of waves depending on the vibration. So,
Okay.
we're human and we are mostly water, you can see how the music would affect us. So, when you're throwing in, the vocals as well as the notes in the music, that does alter the vibrations, and therefore it'll alter, just the same as if you had, some water line and you could see, like, because they've done that with sand, they do that with sand, they do it with water on speakers.
Yeah, I never thought about it from an aspect of being mostly water. That's really interesting, and you're right. That would make sense why things resonate with us so strongly. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, and to be clear, for those of it who are new to the broadcast and just maybe listening on iTunes to this podcast, I do not look at the questions ahead of time, because unless Rudy asks me to, because there's sometimes you want me to do some research, but most times I fly blind into this because I behave almost like an oracle. And that's why we're doing this. Because a lot of people would be like, well, why are you asking Samantha Jane these questions? Like, what makes her so special? Why should she know this stuff? And it's like, I don't know any of this stuff. I was in financial services for over 30 years.
Right.
Ask me about taxes and, compliance and, the cryptocurrencies. It's no wonder that I'm into those. But when it comes to the woo woo stuff, I find that from very, very early on, the people on the other side, I guess you could say my guides, but also just people on the other side, that they feel free to sort of give me this information because, and when I tell you the answers, doesn't it make sense? It's like, oh my God, that's so, like when I somebody asked about the crop circles and I told them that they weren't for us, that they were just really signposts for the
Right.
UFOs. It was information for them. And yeah, some of them are faked, but there's a lot of them that are real. And and somebody wrote me and they were like, oh my gosh, they were like, I never looked at it from that way before. And I was like, neither did I. It just came to me.
Yeah.
And so it's the same with this music. I bring it up, Rudy, because this whole, when you're talking, I'm seeing these pictures. They were showing me the human body, explaining this. Well, you're talking to sort of get me to expand on why somebody throwing vocals in would affect the mood, etc.
And that's what we hope for when we ask these questions, is we get a medium's take on this, to kind of look behind the veil of things that we might not get normally just from regular research. So very cool. Well, Sam, when you were playing piano, or you play piano, it's one thing to learn a tune and be able to, reproduce it. But do you ever find yourself like once you learn something, putting your own spin on things, or coming up with your own little, I don't know, signature, I guess, on some of the music you play?
Yes, I guess the British word is cheeky with some of
Okay.
my music. And it's funny you mentioned that. I was over at my mom's place about 2 weeks ago playing her. She had bought an electronic piano.
Yeah.
So she used to have like a regular piano, the one that we played when we were kids. But I played it for her. But because I didn't have my sheet music and it's been so many years, I didn't make it. I only played songs that I knew like right from memory. But I'm really not good enough to just sort of, just go with the flow. And, I think at this point, with what I am able to do, that it would just be flatly unfair if I was also very talented in music. I've always been very much in awe of people who can just play by ear, it's called. And I just, that's not a talent that I have. And I'm just very much in awe of people who can do that.
Yeah. Well, that actually kind of, you think about divine inspiration. Like I said, you can learn the technicals, but I think at some point, some people, I don't know if it's almost like the psychic gifts or some, but I almost want to say that some people that are drawn to music, that's its own gift, where when they get in the music, you can see them playing and you can see that they are connecting with something outside of themselves, and they're in this zone, almost like a meditative state. And so do you think that is almost, we don't think about it, but it's really almost another type of gift, I think, for some people?
Oh my goodness. Yes. I believe that, being a medium is a gift. I believe the people who have the natural ability with music, I'm trained.
Yeah.
So the only reason I can play the piano is because I was trained to read music when I was a kid, and I went to classes, and for a couple of years I played the piano. That's the only reason. I'm not naturally gifted whatsoever. But some people are. Same with sports. There's some athletes I know that my younger brother, he loved to play hockey, but he just got to the point that he was like, you know what, I'm just not good enough at it. And, this isn't going anywhere. And he just got more into martial arts instead, which he excelled in. So, again, everybody has something that they're talented in. And if there's something that's frustrating you, just, if you can't learn it, don't worry about it. Just move on. I mean, I'm terrible at volleyball, but I enjoy it.
Yeah, no, that's very true. Well, and I think, you find some bands that you're drawn to that you can tell when there's bands that come together, and, when you see like a really good band that can just play and, improvise with each other, I almost think of like a bolt of electricity going between all the members in this mesh, that somehow they are connecting through music, and that is, allowing them to do what they do. Do you think that, there's something to that?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I think that there is something to it. Just exactly what it is, I can't explain that one. Not getting anything on that one tonight, Rudy. But
It's a connection.
we get up until now, so I see we have 20 questions. So how are we doing with the topics?
Good. We got about 10 minutes or 8 minutes left, and we'll get to the other one. So we only have about 20 questions tonight, so it's not too bad.
Great.
And then the last one I know, because some folks have shared this, like, Lost Shaker will say, if he's asking a question, sometimes he'll get Jimmy Buffett mute tunes to pop into his head, or, Muand even talks about being drawn to your channel by that theme song that he heard. Does the universe or do the people on the other side use music to send us messages and little confirmations from time to time, as they do with, a lot of other stuff?
Yeah, it's another venue that they can use very easily. Like, think about how you might think about a song and then it'll come on the radio and you think to yourself, I know that's not a coincidence. That's a wink from the universe. It's just a way for your family. Because maybe your dad just passed away and, maybe you're wondering, is my dad okay? Is he, because it's hard to deal with the fact that somebody's dead, right? But
Yeah.
they're not really dead. They want you to know, like, I'm right here with you. You can't see me, but I can see you and I see what you're thinking and what you're going through, and I'm here for you. And they know, because there's no past, present, or future on the other side, they know what song is coming on the radio next. So what they do is they put it in your head before it comes on. So that's how that goes down.
Or make you change the station at just the right time to catch that song, right?
Exactly. You got it. So it's but you were the one who they put the thought in your mind, and it's just, again, it's, some people want some sort of big sign, but really it's just a wink from the universe. The same as when you get a license plate message on the back of a car when you're just thinking about whether or not something, and then literally the person's name is on a license plate.
Yeah,
for sure.
Cool. All right. Well, lastly, real quick, I want to take a look at Bob Marley. Bob is, I think, a good example of some of these. I know if you're not into, Rastafarian music, but Bob was a very famous Jamaican singer, lived from 1945 to 1981. He died young. But he was really one of the pioneers of reggae. And if you think about Bob Marley, he wasn't a phenomenal vocalist. He has a unique voice. He wasn't a phenomenal lyricist or guitarist, but he always said that Jah or God wrote all his songs for him. Is that an example of someone who maybe wasn't? I don't want to say he wasn't talented, but what the music and how it's still looked at today, I think, still resonates with people, almost because he was channeling something larger than himself through his work. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I agree with where he was he was just a regular singer. He didn't have, super talent in that area of vocals. He wasn't a Freddie Mercury.
Right.
But he did very well, and his music did resonate with people. And, he said that he got his rhythm and his songs from God, from source, and it still lives on today. So I would say that's true.
William Penn writes, since God's love for us is unconditional, are we taking Bible passages that seem to speak against homosexuality out of context? Were the writers or the editors of these passages pushing an agenda, or does Source really frown on same-sex relationships?
No, Source does not frown on same-sex relationships. It's actually built into the human DNA. I always use the plane crash on the desert island as an example, and that humans are, we're very adaptable, right? So you're not going to get like the perfect breakdown of males and females in certain age groups, if a plane crashes on a desert island. So that's the example I use. But I think that you have to keep in mind that religion was used to control people a lot thousands of years ago. We all have a higher level of education. I mean, you don't have to go back 100 years to find people who only had grade 6 or grade 9 education. I know my great grandmother, she got her grade 12, and so did my grandmother. And that was unusual during those times for girls and even boys to go all the way through and get their education, to grade 12.
Well, and if you think about it too, from a just growing your religion or your community, you're not going to get there by promoting same-sex relationships. So when you promote, people that have lots of kids, you have more, whatever religion you are, you grow your community. It's beneficial to your organization as well. So there's a practical aspect to that.
I mean, I believe that the religions that preach against that are just ones that are going for, just interpreting the Bible literally instead of understanding that these are writings that have, been passed down for many, many years, and that the people who wrote these writings, many of them were people who had abilities similar to the abilities that I have, especially the ones who wrote the book of Revelations, right? So you have to keep in mind that they were human, and they also had their own like cultural ideas, and it was also for the times as well. So, and during that time and in that part of the world, that was shunned upon, like quite a bit. So, and I mean, really, it's only been during the last 20 or 30 years that people have been, safe and protected in their same-sex relationships. I mean, people before that paid a pretty significant price. Um, and it would be very scary to ever go back to those times again. I mean, I really do feel like as a society, we are moving forward and advancing and just really having an understanding. Because, why you want to give someone crap for the way they are, right?
Exactly.
Why you want to make you like, why do you care, right? I always said, I got my man over here. Like I'm out of the pool. So
Exactly.
why would I make trouble for anybody? I never got that. And, your neighbors are your neighbors.
Yeah.
I mean, who cares if, listen, I'm telling you right now, if someone's banging on my door in the middle of the night to tell me my roof's on fire, I'm not going to care if it's a gay neighbor or a straight neighbor.
That's right.
I'm just friggin' happy they came over to tell me that my roof was, got struck by lightning and we're all going to die if we don't get out of the house. I mean, what a shame, though, for all the trouble that society has made for itself with its hatefulness and its divisiveness. And I think we are starting to, come to an understanding that you can have a relationship with God, and, you're not making a mistake if you kind of look at some lines in the Bible and say, hey, you know what, that was just for the time and it was misinterpreted, and, God doesn't hate gay people.
Okay. Perfect. Makes sense. Thanks. Dale writes, hi, Sam and Rudy. When you get information from the other side on cryptos, for example, does it come from loved ones or from others who are specialists in certain subjects? Are the people on the other side all knowing? Thank you.
Yes, they're all knowing, and they're part of your family, friends, and the ones who, were close enough and care enough about you to be involved in your day-to-day life. So, I trust what they tell me, and they don't have to be specialists in something. They could be a little bit like me, where I'm seeing something and I might explain to a person in layman's terms what I see wrong with them medically, for example.
Yeah.
And I mean, even though I don't hold myself out as a medical medium, I don't have a degree in medicine, anything at all like that. But as a medium, I can relay information I'm getting on the other side. And obviously, if somebody's having a problem or an issue, their family member may start showing me pictures and like giving them warnings. I remember one man, I was warning him about diabetes, and it turned out that he was on the edge, and I confirmed with him some things that would happen if he ended up getting diabetes. So that was motivation that the family on the other side revealed to me. And I think we figured out it was like a grandmother.
Interesting. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Some of us do run a little bit sweeter than most. I'll say that, but
Yeah. You know what? Everyone has their vices, and, everyone has their vices. That's all I have to say. I mean, some of us should be, exercising more regularly, and other people, have too many glasses of wine.
Yep.
Other people reach for the Advil too quickly. Everyone's got something.
Oh, yeah. All right. Matt writes, hello, Sam and Rudy. Sam, you've previously mentioned that pets can reincarnate and follow you during this incarnation. I've seen many dogs dreaming while asleep. Is a spirit capable of reincarnating, the mechanism that allows for connection to the dream state? Thank you as always.
Well, animals can be, they can have things happen the same as we as humans. So when I see my dog, whimpering or moving around or growling or something like that, where she or he are obviously sleeping, I just figured they're having dreams the same as you or I would have dreams. I do believe, from a spiritual end of things, I do believe that animals do have an ability to see spirits more on average than humans do, though. I do think that they do have some sort of higher connection.
Oh, cool. Okay. Yeah, when we get our puppy, we're hoping it'll be able to see spirits, so we can know if anything's hanging out around our house.
Well, I'm sure you'd be fine anyways, because Teresa, she would protect herself.
Oh yeah, yeah, we got that covered. Tanya Oz writes, "Hi guys, does our personality stay the same, or is it ever changing through many lifetimes? Is there a core to our being that never changes? People that do evil things, is their soul still pure and good at its core? Are they still evil when they cross over? Thanks for your insights."
We're still ourselves at our core, and people who end up being evil here on the earth realm, it's just because they've turned left too much
Okay.
since they were a child. I mean, you can have a child that was abused physically, in a bad situation, and other people, it's just something in their DNA that they have to fight against. There's quite a few things actually that can cause problems for people. Also, you can have somebody just going along just fine, and then in the middle of their, they were fine, and then all of a sudden when they're 45, they like snap.
Yeah.
They have, mental illness, and that can happen as well. So, people just have to be ready to deal with whatever comes their way.
Okay. And when you're talking to people on the other side from our tribe or our families, you will get their personality. And is that to help us identify who it is, or is that actually who they are on the other side? Do they keep that if they're kind of a prankster or a joker, do they keep that when they're in spirit?
Well, the good things they keep, the bad things they don't.
Okay.
They throw that one aside. But I mean, I do describe their personalities quite a bit, and I would have to say that that's a big part of what is a person's signature, because I've mentioned before, and
Yeah.
I think in when I'm uploading like the older Rudy psychic meetups from last year, there was one where we talked about, this very subject.
Right. Right. Cool. Okay. Susan the OG writes, "Will the general public or world ever find out that Jesus survived and went to live in France? Or would that be too mind blowing for many people? Thanks, Sam and Rudy."
I believe, yes, they will find out that he has direct descendants, which can only be as a result of him having offspring.
Yeah, I think you mentioned before that we're going to find out that he had some people in the years to come. Raymond writes, "Hello, Sam and Rudy. Do ghosts always exist, or do they materialize when they want to? Do they sense our vibrations when we are present and manifest themselves, or are they always present? Where do they go when they are not present? Do they go to another realm with other ghosts? Do they go to sleep until they wake up?"
Well, there's no sleep,
Okay.
right? Sleep is a human thing, just like eating food is.
Okay.
That's a human thing. Peeing and pooping, human thing. Right? The pains of hunger, human thing. The ghosts, they're here all the time. They appear to whom they want. It's against the rules, though. They're not supposed to,
Okay.
right? But just like anything, you always have the rule breakers. But when you see a ghost, and if it makes you uncomfortable seeing it, if it's looking at you and creeping you out, you just say it's against the rules. You
Okay.
need to go. You just tell them it's against the rules. You need to go, because they're not supposed to. Like, that's abnormal. We're not supposed to be able to see paranormal, just like you're not supposed to be able to float through the air.
Okay. And it does take energy for them to show themselves. And I think we've talked before about how sometimes when you get those drains of batteries, that maybe ones that are really good at it, have been around a while and earthbound for a while, can kind of steal some of that energy and make that kind of stuff happen. What is going on now between the forces of light and dark and the forces of darkness? All right.
Well, I mean, it is connected to the earth realm. I mean, that's what it's about. But yeah, there is an unseen war going on
Okay.
that people don't see happening between principalities in high places and light beings,
Okay.
the light workers of the planet as well are involved. All of the people who work in that realm are involved. They can feel it. And, I know that I've been speaking in tongues every day.
Okay.
And that was never before a normal thing that would happen. But now it's happening all the time, just for out of the blue. And, um, that's one of the ways that we'll all get through this is by everybody pulling together and staying positive as well. And, listening to that still quiet voice that gives them the positive direction that they need to move in.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Sam. YS64 writes, I have two off-world questions, please. How are the visitors we will have in our future different from the Anunnaki? What was the purpose and origin of our different races? Different purpose or just different base mammal?
Well, there used to be those, what were they called? Hominids? Yeah. So all that happened is when the Anunnaki came, they just played with that DNA because they knew the hominids could, live in the atmosphere, but they just weren't smart enough to do the labor that was required. This was a complex task, the mining, and they also needed to be able to learn language so that they could communicate. Like I said, they were looking for higher functioning beings to do their work, the mining. So that's where the human race comes in and was created. And so the Anunnaki were the ones who did that. They were scientists. And they tried to end us all with the flood. And that didn't work out. But they were gone, though. They were long gone. And the visitors that are coming are just from a different race. Just like, we have different cultures here on planet Earth. There are different races of beings out in the solar system and beyond. And it's pretty much difficult to even count how many there are. It's, some of them are scientists. The vast majority of the ones who have learned how to create spaceships to travel between the realms, those people are scientists. So that's the good news, is that the majority are scientists.
Okay. Yeah, so I was thinking about this last night. I've always had this theory that if the human DNA was tinkered with, you look at the people that are the charismatic leaders and have certain skills, most people are followers, was that somehow programmed that, one out of every 100 or 1,000 is going to be able to lead a group of workers to get them to do something? Is that all part of that tinkering? Winner used to be loser writes, hey guys, love your work. Thanks. That clip, wow, powerful. My question is, Samantha, how powerful was the energy? What did you feel when they come through you in such a large group? This should be a 1-hour private blab for all us peeps. Amazing.
Well, it's like the edges of a bubble, right? So the air pressure, like I was actually feeling, see, this is the difference. When normally it's just a person, a spirit passing through me, I just feel it's very gentle. I feel like it's like a coldness, but it's like the sparklies, like the chills, right? But it's passing, but it's like an actual form, like passing through you. So like you're not getting the chills over here, or it's like a spot, right? So you feel it pass through you. Well, this was like this big bubble, and I saw it and I was like, oh my God, I physically moved, right? Because it was like this big, and it has a border, right? And that I don't feel that when it's a human spirit, but I was like, it was like the ethos. It was crazy. It was cray cray. What can I say? It was like, oh my God, it was just like when that, spirit guide whispered in my ear, stellar lumens.
Yeah.
And I was like, I would give anything. Like, you know what? I would even give all of my ADA to see what the look on my face was when she said stellar lumens.
Were
Right?
you alone when that happened?
Yes, I was. I was down I had gone down on my own to the beach house to clean it up and everything. And, the husband and the kids, they don't want to be involved in that. That's mom's job, right? Mom can freshen the place up. Well, it was October. So,
Okay.
and I wanted to have time to look at cryptos and that kind of stuff. And it was interesting. I found a comment where I had asked somebody about stellar lumens.
Yeah.
Right. And so I was able to figure out the weekend, because you can see what day, I think it was like a Saturday when you look at the date. And I was like, yep, that's when it happened. And then you can see when stellar went from like 2 cents to like 80 cents, like 6 weeks later.
Oh, very cool. Okay. Next question is from Raymond. Raymond writes, "Hello, Sam and Rudy. I've heard that the Hebrew language is sacred. Is the vibration from how the language is spoken, the way the alphabet is written, or numerology? Or is it considered sacred because the language is so old and a lot of people have an affection for it? Is there anything magical about it? Thanks for your live streams."
No, I do not get that there is anything magical. I believe that the Hebrew language is the same as French, English, Italian, Spanish. It's just a way that we communicate with our people.
Okay. Very good. Susan OG writes, "When I visualize a white bubble or cloud of protection around me, my dog, house, or a loved one, does this really work, or is it just wishful thinking? Thanks again."
Oh, it absolutely works. Intentions are everything.
Yep. And I think, Susan, a lot of us do that, actually. You'd be surprised.
Yeah.
It's very powerful. Yeah.
Oh yeah, like when I feel like I'm heavily under attack and when I talk about being under attack, I'm talking about the negative entities, the dark entities that try to get into my mind and show me negative pictures instead of positive ones. Like, I just want good information. I want positive, upbeat, good information. I don't need them talking to me about, that horrible school principal that I had when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Like, they don't need to be showing me pictures about him and why he went. Yeah, no, I don't need that. Right. So then when I imagine, then I stop that. I recognize it. I'm like, oh, those aren't my thoughts. That's those things trying to bring me down, trying to get me on a track of a time when things were sadder for me. Right. Because that's what they'll do. They'll try to dig up and embellish stuff that really shouldn't be a big deal, especially this many years later. Right. So I find that you recognize it, and then you imagine the bubble around you, and you keep those thoughts. And then if it starts to come back again, you just stop and you just say that, you just claim it and just say, no, that bubble is protecting me, and I cast out anything negative and dark, and only good and positive things can come.
Kind of like a flush or a cleanse. I know a lot of people that do that. So, okay. Eugene, aka Ziggy, writes, "Hi, Sam and Rudy. I hope all is well. Are ascended masters capable of dwelling in the sixth dimension? If so, is it possible for a human to ascend when he or she takes the sixth initiation? Is Saint Germain an immortal count or ascended master? Thank you."
Well, I don't know anything about Saint Germain, just where I haven't been involved in religion at that level. And as far as I think Saint Germain is at the Catholic Church.
Yeah, or they might be talking about Count Saint Germain, that person who is said to have been alive for hundreds of years. Ziggy, I think that might be who you're referring to, but who somehow reached enlightenment, but is able, hasn't passed.
Well, they talk about. Sorry, Rudy, I was just trying to gather my thoughts on that one. So ascended masters are just very simply people, like, or I should say that the beings that we are all connected together in source, right? And then we come down individually. So we split away from source and we come down here in our human bodies, and then we turn left, turn right, go straight. We get the results at the end of life review, and we either move up or we move down or we stay the same. Hopefully we move up. And the idea is that you learn enough lessons and you move up enough that you become an ascended master. So then ascended masters don't have to come back to the earth realm anymore. This is what I understand, because, I'm nosy. I will glean this information when I'm going onto the other side to get information. Listen, I eavesdrop, I pick up as much as I can. I'm the girl at the party that you're like, what is she doing? She's by herself the whole time. She's just standing there staring off into space. And I'm like, I'm listening in on what these people over here are saying. Hoping that nobody will notice me as I sip on my whatever. I'll grab a glass of wine and try to make it last all night.
So an ascended master wouldn't necessarily reincarnate back on the earth realm, but they might somehow spiritually be connected and helping people that are still in the earth realm. Does that sound right?
Right. And ascended masters can come back, but you
Okay.
would recognize them. Like I believe that Jesus of Nazareth was an ascended master.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember. There's something about a story about a guy in India that was an ascendant master, but he was a bindi salesman. He just, he wanted to sell the little the dots, and just had a very simple life here. So I'm not sure if there's truth to that or not, but you hear those stories occasionally. Yeah.
Yeah. No, ascended masters tend to perform miracles and have some pretty significant powers, like supernatural abilities. When they come here, they're like a medium times 10.
Wow. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Well, thanks, Sam. That does it for tonight. For a couple of the topics we have coming up, if you want to send some ideas, I have some that people have sent me. One will be taking another look at like secret places. So someone has a temple they want Sam to look in. I know we've looked at like what's under the Sphinx and what's in the Ark of the Covenant. So if you have any secret or hidden places you want Sam to take a look at, send me a list. Either DM me or put it in the Sidekick Discord. And then if you have any movies that you've seen that maybe have a good resonance with like supernatural things you've experienced or you think might be true, let me know on some of those, and we'll look at that topic as well. So,
All right, great. Well, thanks again, everybody, for hanging out for this Wednesday, July 8th of 2020, Rudy Psychic Meetup with Samantha Jane. I'll see you guys 2 Wednesdays from now. Thanks again, Rudy, for helping out.
thanks, everyone.